or what happens to America as the Republican Party increasingly embraces domestic terrorism. And I don't mean that to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to be, you know, oh my God, hysterical, hair on fire, or exaggerate or anything. I mean, I'm just like dead serious about this. Reuters has this remarkable report out. It's over at Reuters.com. It's a Reuters special report. It's titled "Reuters Unmasks Trump Supporters Who Terrified U.S. Election Officials." And I just share a little bit with you. In Arizona, a stay-at-home dad and a part-time Lyft driver told the state's chief election officer that she would hang for treason. In Utah, a youth treatment center staffer warned Colorado's election chief that he knew where she lived and watched her as she slept. In Vermont, a man who says he works in construction told workers at the state election office and at Dominion Voting Systems that they were about to die. "This might be a good time to put an effing pistol in your effing mouth and pull the effing trigger," the man shouted at Vermont officials with a thick New England accent last December, only he didn't say effing. "Your days are effing numbered." Now, if you said that to your next door neighbor and they dialed 911, you'd be in jail. Seriously. Death threats are, I mean, a big deal. It's actually a form of assault. So anyhow, back to Reuters. The three had much in common. All described themselves as patriots fighting a conspiracy that robbed Donald Trump of the 2020 election. All are regular consumers of far-right websites, Trump's stolen election falsehoods. And here's the crushing detail. And none have been charged with a crime by the law enforcement agencies alerted to their threats. They are among 9 people who told Reuters in interviews that they made threats or left other hostile messages to election workers. In all, they are responsible for nearly 24 harassing communications to 6 election officials in 4 states. 7 made threats explicit enough to put a reasonable person in fear of bodily harm or death, the U.S. federal standard for criminal prosecution, according to 4 legal experts who reviewed their messages at Reuters' request. So here we have people who are making death threats to elected officials, which is a federal crime. And the FBI and the Department of Justice and even the local police departments are doing absolutely nothing about it. Reuters contacted these elected officials who were getting these death threats. The elected officials gave them copies of their text messages and their cell phone messages and their emails the threats came from, where the people making the threats were making no effort to conceal who they were. Reuters then tracked down the people who made the threats and said, "Did you make these threats?" And the people said, "Yeah, sure." They tried to steal the election from, or they stole the election from Donald Trump. "I just want my country back." This kind of stuff, right? And so then Reuters says, "You ever hear from the police?" Nope, not a word. Reuters notes these cases provide perspective into how people with everyday jobs and lives have become radicalized to the point of terrorizing public officials. They are part of a broader campaign of fear waged against frontline workers of American democracy, chronicled by Reuters this year. The news organization has documented nearly 800 intimidating messages to election officials in 12 states, including more than 100 that could warrant prosecution, according to legal experts. Now, let me just flip that around. If black people with Black Lives Matter or white people with Antifa or both, or people of any race in either group, were making death threats to Republican elected officials, how long do you think that would be allowed to continue? I'm not recommending that. In fact, I would strongly recommend against it, just for the record. But if the roles were reversed, You think that this country would tolerate it? Reuters notes, the examination of the threats also highlights the paralysis of law enforcement in responding to this extraordinary assault on the nation's electoral machinery. And then they point out that after they reported this back in June, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, after Reuters reported the widespread intimidation in June, the U.S. Department of Justice launched a task force to investigate threats against election staff and said it would aggressively pursue such cases. But law enforcement agencies have made almost no arrests and 0 convictions. In many cases, they didn't even investigate. And then they go through this, they go through their interviews with these individuals. This is now the warp and weave or woof or whatever that old phrase is of the Republican Party. I mean, this is embedded in the Republican Party now, is the idea that death threats and physical violence or threats of physical violence, stalking, harassment, are now, an acceptable part of our political dialogue. How did we get here? I mean, there's a piece over on Raw Story. This is a guy. There's a husband and wife apparently here in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon. In the college town, the University of Oregon or Oregon State University or whatever the college is there in Eugene. I'm U of O. Thank you, Sean. They walked into a cookie shop. A cookie shop. This anti-mask couple. And started pushing the store owner, physically pushing the store owner around and yelling about my freedom. You don't get to effing assault people and run a business, says the protester, who is now holding a baseball bat. So the two people who came in, the anti-maskers, Ricky Collin and Amy Hall, called the police to try to get the store owner who threatened them with a baseball bat, which they took away from the store owner, to get the store owner arrested. The police showed up and arrested the so-called, the anti-mask hole, the mask holes, shall we say, the anti-maskers. But it's like, what made them think this is an appropriate thing to do in the first place? It's the Republican Party's strategy of keeping the COVID pandemic going in America, even as other countries have just gone back to normal. Denmark is back to normal now. Norway is largely back to normal. Sweden, pretty much everybody's vaccinated. But not here. The strategy is keep the economy in the crapper, or put it there and keep it there, by keeping the virus floating around America, so that people are afraid to go to work. So, the economy suffers and Joe Biden gets the bad rap for it. That's the plan right now. They put this plan into place in January of this year, and they have been executing it with absolute precision ever since. And they've got the right-wing media in on it as well. They don't care how many of their supporters they kill or sicken. Because the whole goal here is to take back political power in they have to take back the House of Representatives in 2022 so that in 2024 they can use the House of Representatives to hand the election to whoever the Republican nominee is. And I'm telling you, they will do it. This is their plan. And along the way, hey, physical violence, problem. Threats and intimidation, no problem. This is how it played out in the early 1930s in Germany. This is how it played out in the mid-1920s in Italy. This is how right up until the mid-1970s in Spain. This is what fascist political parties do. And we should not be tolerating it.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's 16 minutes past.